Tennessee and Auburn. Auburn goes on the road and takes 2 of 3 from the reeling Vols. And this was one of the – we're going to talk about a few of these. This was one of the wacky weather-impacted weekends where they start – which, by the way, the fact they start the game Friday night in a
monsoon.
In a monsoon. It is pouring rain. They, for whatever reason, start the game. They have to stop it in the first inning. Liam Doyle essentially gets burned for that night. Tony Vitello's losing his mind. Again, weather – I forget. Did they resume on – they did resume on – yeah, that's right. They resumed on Saturday. They made it to the 10th inning.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got to delay the game again. Then they go into Sunday. They resume in the 10th inning. Tennessee turns to Liam Doyle in extra innings, which pays off because they win that game 2 in extras. Then game 3, Auburn absolutely shoves. By the way, Auburn wins game 1 behind Sam Dutton, who's been incredible. Auburn takes 2 of 3, pulls, I think, what's maybe one of the upsets of the weekend. I didn't see many folks out there going with Auburn on the road to get it done.
Nobody.
But the Auburn pitching, they dominate. I thought the Vols, honestly, Harrison, this is taking nothing away from Auburn, by the way, because I think we need to spend the majority of the time giving Auburn their roses. I think this is a team we've been saying for weeks, not enough people are talking about Auburn. Auburn's kind of flying. All right, we need to put that aside. Like, Auburn is a Omaha contender. Just say it with me. Auburn is an Omaha
contender.
Right. We like, there's no more. They're under the radar. They're a nice story. They're just a really, really good team at this point. I don't think the most talented team in the conference, but Butch Thompson's got that team playing together. They've got enough dudes in the lineup that can hurt you, and the pitching's been really, really good. But the Vols look flustered, I thought, from the jump, man. And then you go into Sunday, Tony Vitello gets tossed, and we can obviously talk about some of the umpiring that affected the first 2 series that we have talked about. But Tennessee's reeling, man. There's just no other way to put it. Tennessee is reeling. I've heard people talking about a lack of leadership kind of thing, which I'm not going to sit here on this Monday and say I told you so, but this was one of the concerns I had with Tennessee when you lose guys like Semo and Blake Burke. Like, they just don't look like the same group. Harrison, Tennessee now, 3 SEC series home losses in a season for the first time since 2017 before Tony got there. Your thoughts on this one? Because, again, it was a weird weekend, wet weekend because of the rain, but a weekend that results in Auburn, I think, making a statement on Rocky Top.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a statement for the Auburn Tigers on Rocky Top, Chris, on the road in the SEC. We know how hard it is to do that, to go play on the road, let alone against a very incredibly talented team like Tennessee, team led by an incredible head coach in Tony Vitello. But a statement weekend for them. I'm going to put kind of a half asterisk on it because of the weather as well and how that played. I think that kind of the whole Liam Doyle situation with how that was kind of pitched and handled, and then the ejection of him, the ejection of Tony Vitello, the umpiring crew. I mean, that was one of the, I think, worst SEC series I think I've seen called in quite a while. So I'm going to put half an asterisk on it, not to take anything away from Auburn, but just kind of as a whole as it is. I think Tennessee's way too talented to, I think, sell a ton of stock in them. I think it's just kind of that they're in just this cold streak, trying to stop the bleeding like Arkansas did this past week. And after they had 3 series losses, Chris, I mean, you said, I refuse to believe Arkansas is going to lose 4 straight SEC series. I think Tennessee's kind of the same way. Just Auburn caught them at the right time. They played very, very high level baseball. The pitching staff was very good. They kept Tennessee off balance all game. It wasn't that they did anything that just blew me away. Like, wow, this is why, they kind of got Tennessee in this situation. They're really shutting down this way. It was just executing the pitches. I mean, I think the lefties for Auburn looked really good too. And then kind of the mix of arm slots and release heights too was a really unique kind of combination, how that was handled and kind of strategize with Butch Thompson for Auburn. I think that just execution-wise was great, especially given the weather and how kind of the whole series went, which, like you said, that game should not have been started, game 1 in a monsoon. I mean, it was just really, really strong and just mixed matching of pitching from the entire Auburn staff and guys stepping what they need to, especially Carson Myers. I mean, I thought scattering 7 hits and only giving up 1 run. I mean, it was really good from him. Just Armstrong looked good after him. I mean, it was just next guy after next guy after next guy for Auburn, and they did it in situations that they needed to most. They took advantage of base running, Chris. We know how Tennessee struggles with holding guys on base. Auburn averages a stolen base a game. Through game 2, Chris, they had 9 stolen bases, I believe. I mean, When you do that, and you got a guy like Samuel Dutton on the mound too, who gives you another incredible start in a game one of a series. I mean, just really strong. It sets you up for a lot of opportunity to succeed in a series. And you have guys like Ike Irish who play great offensive, production in the lineup, but also has a cannon from the outfield. Misplayed one ball, but then obviously he throws a guy at home. You have other guys getting thrown out from the outfield as well, all over the base path for Tennessee. The struggles that they've kind of had defensively as well. I just think Tennessee's just kind of, I don't want to say lost an identity because I don't think that's true at all. It's just kind of, not playing their brand of baseball, not just playing as together as I've seen them play and as clutch as possible and as, consistently at a high level they do. But man, Auburn Tigers went in there, took a massive series, statement series, headline series win for the Auburn Tigers. And they're definitely a deep postseason team and an Omaha contender.
Yeah, Auburn punched them in the face. There's no question. And like I said, I think the most surprising thing was I felt like Tennessee was flustered all weekend. They seemed unsettled to me. And I don't have a problem with like Tony V getting tossed, right? You're trying to spark your club.
Yeah, no, I love that. I was fine with that. That's his first time he's gotten thrown out since 2023 against Missouri.
Yeah, I'm saying that because obviously social media has taken that and has run crazy. I mean, I think the clip that we reshared of that is almost like 400,000 views on Twitter. I mean, listen, I will say this about Tennessee, and I got nothing but love for Tony V and the Vols, and really, truly. But I'm just making this statement, and I think Vol fans would acknowledge this too. It's very easy to hate Tennessee because of, Tony's a fiery guy, and he's a chirpy dude, and they're a cocky bunch of motherfuckers, and you got Liam Doyle shoving a guy home plate. Like, when you don't win, you're going to face there's nobody that has any sympathy for Tennessee. Nobody with the way they play. And I think the way they play, it has worked out more times than it hasn't under Tony. I'm not telling them they should change, but if you're wondering why this amount of backlash I shouldn't say backlash, this amount of people trying to dance on your graves is happening, well, that's why. That is. So, and I got no issue with it, but I'm just making the simple point. Tennessee's got to continue to be who they are, but boy, they got to find themselves quickly, Harrison, because they got the Vandy boys coming to town, and Vandy, I believe, back-to-back years has been swept by Tennessee, if I recall correctly. So that one's going to be, you can expect the emotions again, another weekend on Rocky Top, where the emotions are going to be through the roof, and we'll see how they handle it. But I'm not necessarily hitting the panic button on Tennessee because I think, too, to overreact and to be like it's time to panic, again, it's just not giving the credit we need to give to Auburn, who I don't think is the most talented team in the conference by any means, but they got one of the most underrated coaches in Butch Thompson. Yep. Sam Dutton's a legitimate number one.
He's not an overpowering number one, though. He executes his pitches in the zone and gets you to, hit his pitch and get yourself out a lot of times. It's nothing like he's blowing smoke by you or just having this, kind of Cade Anderson, Anthony Einstein dagger of a 12-6, but it's just, he's such a good pitcher. He's a kind of a surgeon of a pitcher, it feels like.
Yeah, he's been so good for them all year, so a legitimate number one. Cade Fisher's been good in whatever role they've used him in. Obviously came out of the pen over the weekend. They've got other guys on the bump that have stepped up and pitched really well. And then, again, you've got the heart and soul of your team, Ike Irish, Cooper McMurray, love the Derek Fabian kid. Weekends. Yeah, they both had huge weekends. They really carry that club. So Auburn, again, they're going to be a host. I think they are a real legitimate – you tell me right now they make it to Omaha, Harrison? I'm not really all that surprised. I think they're a really good team, and Butch Thompson's track record there at Auburn, they're going to make a push for it. So, so I think, again, give the credit to Auburn that's deserved, a real Omaha contender. But the Vols are scuffling, man. They are really, really scuffling.
Talk about the production outside. We talk about Ike Irish and Cooper McMurray and, Cade Ballou all the time, kind of the go-to names for them. Yeah. Chris Rembert had a huge game himself, with 2 hits in RBI, and then obviously the production from Mike Irish later in that game. You got Chris Rembert, who has 2 walks in the next game. Not much RBI, but just getting on base and just the threats of how Auburn stole so many bases throughout the game. And then you have, after that, you got guys like Lucas Steele, who have a huge game for himself. He has 3 RBIs in one of the games, and it's just it's guys that can step up and produce outside of it. Because we talk about with Arkansas how deep a lineup can be. You need production outside of 2 guys in a lineup. You can't just have 2, 3, 4 production. You need, 6, 7, 8, 9 production as well. So, that was the big thing for Auburn, I think, too. But I think we do need to give some kudos and shout out to how Tony Vitello managed the game they won with pinch hitting in that situation with a freshman. I mean, Chris, come on. I mean, I remember, did you watch that situation, how it went down with Chris, was it Newstrom, who came in as a freshman? I think he's batting like over 300, but not obviously a full kind of season slate of at-bats. But to come in that situation as a freshman and deliver, I mean, monumentally huge. I think just pulling the right strings at the right time, and shows why Tony Vitello is such an elite coach and one of, if not the best coaches in the country. And, that's just what it's going to take for Tennessee, I think, to get out of a spell like that, just continue to have guys step up like that, whether it's off the bench or just in certain situations and roles. But I was really impressed with that and thought that needed to be noted.
National championship hangover, Harrison? Does it kind of feel like that with Tennessee?
Well, everyone's talking about the first half of the season, how, Tennessee somehow passed it on to the runner-up with Texas A&M. But, I mean, Chris.
Baseball is a long season. It can flip.
It is. I mean, Chris, we talked about it earlier this season, and then we can move on to the next. About, you said earlier, is this Tennessee team better than the national championship team last year?
The answer was no.
We had that discussion, Chris.
I know.
I mean,
that was premature. That was premature.
No, Chris, statistically, they're up there. I mean, talk about the home run record and just how much of offense they put out.
Harrison, is it fair to say that maybe the way that was an overreaction would be the same way it's an overreaction to panic and say, like, Tennessee is no good? I think both would be a little.
Because, Chris, think about it. If Tennessee goes on a run, let's say wins the next two series to in the regular season, goes on a deep postseason run, goes back to Omaha, no one's going to be surprised and be like, yeah, well, that sounds about right. That's how talented this club is, and that's how good of a coach Tony Vitello is, peaking at the right time. That's exactly what we're going to say if that happens.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. It'll be interesting to see how it closes out because, again, they are ice cold, losing 4. Think about this. Lost 4 of their last 5 series, and the one series they won, Harrison, it was at Ole Miss, and they had to score 3 runs in the top of the 9th, the final game, to win that one. I mean, we could be talking about Tennessee losing 5 straight SEC series, which is truly hard to comprehend. So they haven't, but they were very close. 4 of their last 5. Again, you got 2 regular season weekends to figure it out, get hot. We'll see if the Vols can do it.
But hey, Chris, can't win a championship in April.
You don't win the national title in late April or early May. That is true. But you do build momentum to the postseason. It's about time to get it in gear.